When I think of a non-plated super trainer that can do everything, two shoes come to mind. The Adidas Adios Evo SL and the Asics Megablast.
Good morning, everybody. I'm here with the Asics Megablast, and today I am comparing it to the Evo SL. I probably already said that in the introduction, but I'm starting out my morning right now, relatively early for a Tuesday, trying to get a nice double, looking at 10 and 10-ish for each shoe, so I'll have a very direct comparison for y'all, and let's go.
Boston. We're back with the Megablast. We're back with the Megablast. Coming out blasting.
So far, starting out today, my knee really hurts. This is something I was struggling with towards the end of last week. And I did go to the gym yesterday to lift, primarily because I wanted to get some squats in to work my quads to potentially help my knee, and that generally works for me, and that still might help. Like strengthening your knee is supportive of, or strengthening your quads rather, is supportive of recovering from knee injuries in general, but not feeling the results quite yet. I did do a lot of hills last week. I'm sure that had an influence on the amount of strain that I put on my knee coming downhill particularly. But yeah, I'm not feeling the best this morning. Not a good way to start the week for sure. So far though, the Megablast feels very protective underfoot, very bouncy. I wore some thicker socks to try to combat the lace bite I was getting, and so far so good. Just like the Evos, these really encourage you to go fast. The thing about running in so many shoes is that, yes, it does theoretically help to prevent very specified overuse injuries. The drawback to this is you might not know which shoe is disagreeing with your body and giving you that one specific injury or pain or whatever discomfort you might be experiencing on your body. So like right now, I don't know where this knee pain came from. It's actually not too bad at this very moment. And generally, if I'm running at pace, it doesn't hurt too much. It's mostly when I'm in the house. But it could become something that affects performance long term. Could turn into a massive injury too. So I'm always wary with running on things that already hurt. But yeah, I don't know where it came from other than probably hills. It just seems like a somewhat unsatisfactory explanation for it. For the Megablast, I'm not getting that toe rubbing that I was getting on the first two runs. Not yet, at least. The right shoe I did have to stop and retie a couple of times, just feeling like maybe it's doing some heel whip. Just a little imperfect fit this morning, but I think I might have gotten it figured out on that last retie. As you might or might not have seen, they haven't knocked down that building back there yet, which is nice. I would love to get it on camera, but I don't even know who to ask about deadlines because the constructors don't know. I need to ask the destructors. Okay, situation report. I've actually had to retie these like far too many times now, and it's just not feeling quite right on my right foot. But I do think I finally have it figured out, and I just don't know. Could be anything. It could be that it's earlier than it normally is for me. Could be just the knee pain that I'm experiencing that's throwing my stride off. But the thing is it's the same thing that I experienced in the Evo SL with a 4-foot drift on cambered surfaces. And here I'm hoping that once the foam breaks in and softens up a little bit, that'll disappear. It's wild because the first 2 runs in this were pretty inspiring, and this one's just been meh. The difference between this and the Evo SL though is that this is still way more fun underfoot and a little less forceful in its application of pace. Like, the Evo SL really forces you to run quickly. This firmly but gently encourages you to run quickly, like a stern parent, not like a drill instructor or drill sergeant. Just as things were starting to pick up, I felt my stomach rumbling. Peaks and valleys all the way through to the very end of life. I bet you one day I'll accomplish my marathon goals and then I'll get hit by a bus. But then I'll learn mathematics because I'll be paralyzed, and I'll become a genius, brilliant mind and fall in love, and then my wife will get hit by a bus. But then we'll be very similar and paralyzed together in love, and then life is all joy and sorrow, pain and pleasure, running and not running. But it's beautiful. Feeling a lot better towards the end of the run. Shoes are better. Still doing slightly the twisting thing in my foot in the shoe, but overall the extreme bounciness and just willingness to push forward in these that these provide really is overriding the annoyances right now. I'm pretty much flying all the way because I have a certain amount of time in the day. The one observation I'll make though is that these are phenomenally loud. Like flump, 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 flump. Okay, so some quick thoughts for you. That wasn't the best run in the world. My knee doesn't hurt so bad right now as it does like early in the morning or towards the end of the day the last few days. But my stride definitely fell off today, and I can't tell if that was the shoes or if it was because the knee was just not fully functional and so not striking the ground in the most accurate way. But cardiovascularly, I feel really, really good right now. And it was just the constant stopping and retying, trying to fix a problem that I don't even know if it was really fixable. I was just mostly tolerating it towards the end. It was somewhat fixed, but I was just basically tolerating it. So I think I might need to figure out a better lacing strategy for these long term, but I do think I could get there. The bounce on these is incredible. It's like as bouncy as any super shoe, really, and that's crazy. I mean, it's also as rigid as a lot of super shoes. But I do think that because there's no plate in there, over time that will go away. It might take a while because of how firm the foam is tuned, but overall I do think that, yeah, this will become a more flexible shoe than a carbon-plated racer with time, because the foam will wear down, and in a carbon-plated shoe, the foam obviously will also wear down, but the plate won't. Other thoughts? Yeah, my stomach started feeling weird towards the end there too. I'm beginning to think that lactose-free milk isn't actually lactose-free. I don't really know how it works, but it's I've had a lot of cereal the last few days, if you know what I mean. And yeah, it's just not been great. Let's go back, reset, work the bulk of my workday, fix this automation, play with the dogs, then get back out in the Evo SL in the afternoon. Round 2, Evo SL, fight!
Speed demons, spots demons. Evo in the race, we dream.
It is proper fall in Rochester, New York. It's the most fallish evening that I've seen. It's also later than I'm normally out. Didn't get on the road until like 4:45 or something? I don't know. My mind is ablaze with comparisons. I'm about a mile in. Very first thing I noticed, and it's still going on, is that I'm getting lace bite from the Evo. That's new. It's gotta be that my feet are bruised from first the Prime X Strong, then they were tender, and the Megablast irritated them, and now I'm feeling it in the Evo, which is not normal for me in the Evo, but it is a shoe that's set up to be prone to that just because of the way the tongue is short and the laces are made of murder wire. So that's the first thing that I noticed. The second thing is, despite being heavier, Evo SL feels lighter on foot. Just having a more nimble platform and the type of cadence that it rewards. So that's the third thing. This is more cadence oriented, and it really wants you to be at an extremely high cadence, which makes it hard to run slow in. And this is for sure a lot harder to run slow in than the Megablast. It also puts you up on your forefeet a bit more, a lot more, and the Megablast actually tries to put you on your heel, which I don't like that in the Megablast, but for how much either is trying to prescribe this certain ride, I prefer the amount that the Megablast is prescribing, but I prefer the type that the Evo is prescribing. Like, I get along better with a high cadence, forefoot dominant stride, but the Evo is just like shouting it into your ear, whereas the Megablast is sort of just like, dude, maybe you should heel strike more. The sloppier fit for sure goes to the Evo, and it's still doing the forefoot drift thing for me, but not as much as the Megablast was, which is weird. My knee started to feel better throughout the day though, and I'm wondering if I'm like on the way to recovery there, and that's what's mitigating the forefoot drift on the Evos right now. Car almost hit me, or I almost hit it realistically. Yeah, but whenever I hop back onto cambered roads, the drift comes back in. So that's like, so I start to compare because I'm on a slightly different route right now than I was earlier with the Megablast. And yeah, you just gotta be on flat road with these firm foamed super trainers. The Evos are for sure bouncy, but they're not like as obviously bouncy. They feel almost more assistive than fun. Yeah, I wouldn't call these exactly a fun shoe unless you're like, your intention is to get out and rip at like a fast zone 3 effort, like verging on threshold work. That's when they become fun, but it's more like, if this is type A fun, like running is type A fun, that would be like type AA fun, versus like parties and stuff, which are type B fun. The Megablast would be like, you're running, so it's type A fun, but everything about the shoe is type B fun. It's like a party while you're running. The Evo SL is like training while you're training. Honestly, I'm really satisfied with that description. They don't have to do a lot to make the Evo a better shoe. But here's the thing. The rubber wears out at around 200 miles, making it not useful in the wet. The upper is sloppy and the laces are bad. It's fine, whatever. The use case is actually the biggest detractor for me from the Evo. It is very one-dimensional. I have to be ripping in this. It has no chill. It never has any chill. If you slow down at all, it becomes really unstable. So there's one type of run that you could do with it. I mean, you could go even faster. You could get down to like 10K pace probably in this, no problem. But there are better shoes for that specific thing. So you're just in this little like marathon to half marathon pace grind mode the entire time you're wearing the shoe. And I've tried doing other things with it, and it really just doesn't like doing that. And the foam starts to feel really firm if you're plodding along versus up on the forefoot where it's actually bouncy. So the Megablast can do, quite frankly, everything that the Evo could do, and a little bit on either end of it as well. I mean, maybe not on the low end. I'm not trying to run a 10K in the Megablast, but on the high end, or on the, I guess, slow end, yeah, it goes way slower than this. It can. I just got the literally unmistakable whiff of everything bagels. So potently, it's as if I was eating one, and I am nowhere near a bagel shop. And I feel that unfortunately, this will remain a mystery. If these two shoes were dogs, the Megablast would be the slightly dopey but adorable golden retriever. Picture perfect dog, loves you until the very end, and just is really happy about it. Super good boy, but might track mud on your carpet. The Evo SL is a sled dog. So it looks at you like, employer, we have a task to do, we have 36 hours to accomplish it, we need to travel at 46 kilometers per hour, over these hills, we need to take this route. I will sleep in a ball in the snow. Not sure if there are any witches that I've accidentally offended in the last day, but I just had to stop because the lace bite became so unbearable that I felt like my foot was gonna cut off. And that's not my normal experience of the Evo. And that, coupled with a really weird foot sensation earlier and the presumptively actually lactose-free milk, extra lactose added milk, I think that somebody put a curse on me. I had to basically untie this shoe to stop the lace bite. That's how bad it was. But now it's way too loose. So if you know any local witches that might be able to reverse this curse, please send them my way. Situation report. I'm home. I am in a bad way. I think I have food poisoning. I will see you back in the studio.
Guys, we're back in the studio with the Megablast and the Evo SL. I just got back from the run with the Evo SL, and oh boy, did that run the gamut of all of the different human experiences that you can have on a run. I was enjoying myself. I was running really quickly, feeling very confident at pace. I was hunched over in a ball, crippled by my own intestinal problems. I was enjoying the feeling of the free road under my feet and the crunchy leaves crackling in the air and the smell of Halloween fresh on the cusp of arriving. And I was getting piano wired by the laces on the Evo SL. That was my afternoon run. My morning run was much the same story, where I was having a really weird, lateral 4-foot drift in the Megablast, which is normally the trademark sensation that exists in the Evo SL. And I wasn't getting any of that in the Evo SL this afternoon. So left was right, up was down, cats were dogs, day was right. So to compare these two based on today's run is going to also require drawing on my previous experiences in these two shoes. Luckily, I have literally hundreds of miles across two pairs on the Evo SL, and today's experience was mostly in line with all of those. And I also have very recent runs in the Asics Megablast. So these runs today were helpful in informing this review and comparison, but by no means are they the only things that I'm drawing from. So I guess, where do we even start? We got to start with the stats. I'm going to breeze through this really quickly. So Megablast, it has an upper, it's mesh. I know that probably most people don't care about what the upper is made of. Nice serrated laces. A tongue that I would say is a little thin. It does have some rubberized padding components up at the top, but have so far been mostly insufficient at preventing lace bite, and we'll come to that. Really nice padded heel collar and rigid heel counter. No discomfort here. Good lockdown throughout the entire shoe. And yeah, midsole is aliphatic TPU. It's the Flight Foam Turbo Squared. It's really firm, but has this sort of pneumatic bounce to it, where it's linear down, linear up, linear down, linear up, but really chugga 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 chugga. Really, quite an experience to behold. Has a very protruding bulbous heel, posterior heel flare to it that I'm not a huge fan of, but it's not quite as choppy as the Superblast, which is the other Blastosaurus Rex Max Blast shoe from Asics. So, and on the outsole, to round it out, Asics grip rubber. I think this is going to be really durable based on what I know about Asics grip, my experience in the Metaspeed Edge Paris and the new Metaspeed Edge Tokyo as well. So that's the stats here. Oh yeah, 45 down to 37 for an 8mm drop. Evo SL, very, very basic mesh upper with a slightly baggy fit. And again, we'll come to that. Piano wire laces, classic Adidas. Nice heel collar, not as substantial as the Megablast. I mean, you could even see, but it is still sufficient for my needs for a daily trainer such as this. Midsole Light Strike Pro, it's, I believe, 38.5 down to 32.5 for a 6mm drop. I can't remember if it was the 0.5 millimeter or not. That's what Adidas likes to do because they're fancy like that. And then the outsole, Continental rubber. This is one of the weak points of the Evo SL. The rubber is very thinly grooved in this direction, and sort of at around 200 miles, the grip all but disappears. In the wet, you could, I mean, it's still usable in the dry at that point, but something that I noticed about the rubber. So about the two shoes, comparing them, there's a lot that I set out on the run, and I think that you should definitely, if you haven't, especially the Evo SL segment of this video, watch the On the Run segment because I had a bunch of nuggets of wisdom about this. The upshot of it is that this is, I think the best way I put it out on the run was that the Megablast is type A fun, right? This is, we're all doing type A fun right now. Running is fun in the sense that it's an accomplishment and it makes you feel really good. So that's type A fun. Type B fun is party fun. Let's go party. I might have those backwards, but that's what I'm defining them as. So Megablast is type A fun as a primary because it's a running shoe. And so is the Adidas Evo SL. But the secondary characteristic of this shoe, of the Megablast, is that it's type B fun. It really puts a goofy, doofy smile on your face. And the Evo SL is still type A fun all the way through. It's all business, it's all fast, it's all go, go, go. Why do I say that? The experience of running in these two is that the Megablast wants you to enjoy yourself. It wants to protect you and keep you feeling good and, you know, making sure you're having a good time. It's sort of like the Mrs. Dalloway character, if you've read Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. Just like a hostess trying to, you know, smoothly navigate from person to person, ensuring that they feel seen and heard and cared for, and but doing it with such grace and speed and high level performance that it's able to do that with like diplomats or presidents and such. And so this is like the Mrs. Dalloway of a shoe. It's really a high performer, but it really just wants everybody to have a good time at the same time. The Evo SL is like, I said on the run, it was like a drill sergeant. Also like a Siberian Husky as a sled dog, like a working dog. It wants to make you run fast and make you run fast, and it wants to run fast, and that's just the one gear that it has. So those are the characters of the two. The bounce is superior in the Megablast by a lot, but the Evo SL is not a non-bouncy shoe by any means. It's a much shallower bounce. The probably bigger runners will have less of a difference between the bounciness of these two compounds in each of the shoes. Because if you can compress the foam in the Evo SL a little bit more, I think that you're going to get a little bit more bounce out of it. But this is such a firm, dense feeling foam, and the foam in the Megablast is also really firm, but it just doesn't feel as dense underfoot. It feels like it compresses a bit more and releases a bit more overall. Where like, imagine like a really tightly strung trampoline versus this is the loosely strung trampoline, this is the tightly strung trampoline. Or like a note on a piano, this is ding, 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 and this is dum, dum, dum. Maybe that's a really good way to put it. So that's the feeling that they feel underfoot. Some things about the upper today, on my right foot in the Megablast, I was just having this really weird forefoot lateral drift that I've had historically primarily in the Evo SL, as well as a couple other shoes. What I believe the source of that to be for me is that I'm predisposed towards pronating more on my right foot, and when running on cambered roads, the firm platform, both of these have a very firm and rigid platform, but they don't have a plate in them to stabilize. So what that does is, like, if I'm overpronating, the shoe doesn't want to overpronate. It wants to revert. It wants to, since my foot is counterweighting it and so is the shoe, it wants to use all of this like foam width to stay on the ground like this. But that results in, when I'm stepping, my foot just sort of separates from the shoe and goes in the direction. So my foot is going down like this, and the shoe is trying to stay planted on the ground. So it sort of separates like that. And I was getting that a lot today in the Megablast, but I was really also babying my knee, which hurt at the beginning of the day, then did not hurt at the end of the day. Super strange. I might be sleeping weird. I don't even know what to say. These are just phantom ghosts, and I feel like I've been hexed by a witch. But yeah, that wasn't so much my experience of the Megablast the first 2 runs that I had in it. And today with the Evo, I had lace bite. I've never gotten lace bite in a serious way from the Evo SL before. They're bad laces and the tongue isn't perfect, but nothing like what I experienced today. I had to basically untie it for half the run. This feels like it has one note. The Evo SL feels like it has one note. It is just so high strung, and the Megablast feels like a party animal. Those are overall the 2 characters. The laces in the Megablast are better. The upper in the Megablast is better to a degree. The tongue, I would say, is equally not good to the tongue in the Evo, but for different reasons. At least the Megablast has a long enough tongue, but I've been getting mild lace bite in the Megablast since owning it. Lockdown is good in both of these. I feel like the lockdown I could overdial in the Evo SL pretty easily, and it creates like a bit of heel pressure that I don't love. That hasn't so far happened to me in the Megablast, and it has such a substantial padding in the heel that I don't think that it would be very easy to get heel slip in it. These shoes weigh very similar weights, but holding them in hand, the Megablast feels heavier. On foot, the Megablast feels heavier, but it's actually the Evo SL that's heavier in my size. Out on the run, I was saying that the Evo SL was heavier in my size. That is actually not true. The Megablast is heavier in my size, and it makes me feel so much better that that is the case, because I thought I was going a little crazy. The Evo SL is about 10 grams lighter than the Megablast. It's not a major difference, but for whatever reason, I thought that the Evo was heavier, and I just was having a hard time believing that when I had it on foot this afternoon. And I think that even came through on video. So to correct, this is 233 grams, and this shoe is 243 grams. The other one of the Megablast was 245 grams. So Evo SL, very slightly lighter. I mean, it's slightly lighter given that it's almost, close to 10. It's about 8 millimeters lower stack than the Megablast, or 7. So yeah, it's denser. The foam is definitely denser in the Evo SL, and I think that's where the relative weight is coming from. But this definitely feels like a more streamlined and lighter weight shoe on foot. Also, some things that for me are slightly at odds with these shoes. The Megablast feels like it wants to heel strike. The Evo SL feels like it wants to forefoot strike. I'm normally much more of a forefoot striker, and normally am drawn to more forefoot oriented shoes. The challenge with the Evo SL is the rocker is so gradual that if I get it past its like optimum high strung range of speed and really want to get up on the calves, I end up feeling like I don't have enough shoe to spring off of because I've already rolled through so much of it landing on the rocker in the forefoot. The Megablast, on the other hand, has a totally different set of, like, I wouldn't even say they're problems, but sensations, really, in that, for me, the Megablast does promote landing further back on the platform, which is not what I want to do or not what comes naturally to me. And so it feels like I'm adjusting my natural stride to run with it, and it lowers my cadence, but I don't really actually mind it so much in the Megablast. It seems like it cares for you in that way. It's like, you know, you could heel strike, bro. It's okay. Please just like let yourself go. It's fine. And, you know, that promotes the challenge there is that promotes a more hip dominant strategy. And I have really weak hips. And so, you know, long term, if I'm going to integrate this into my rotation more heavily, which I'm going to, it could present, you know, growing pains, some challenges to adapt to. So I might need some time to adapt to the Megablast. Whereas the Evo, super up my alley, dead in my range of shoes, like style of shoes, but just like tuned a little bit wrong in the geometry that makes it a little weird to run in at times for me. I've said this before a dozen times with the Evo SL, but it feels like you're on a motorcycle or a bicycle. When you start, it's really wobbly. If you're going slow, it's really wobbly, and you have to be very attentive to stay up on the platform. It almost feels like there's like a line down the center of the shoe, the center of the midsole, and that line on either side is like balanced. Like it feels like not only is there a rocker in this plane, but there's a rocker to either side of the shoe. Like this is not a perfectly flat shoe at any point in its geometry. And it's only when you're going really quickly that you can stay in stability. And that's hard to maintain unless you're very intentional about what runs you take the Evo SL on. Whereas the Megablast, I think the range is way wider. I think that this, you know, even really could be a marathon racing shoe. I don't see any reason you couldn't take this for your marathon. I think it's pretty close to as assistive as a lot of the marathon shoes that are out there, a lot of the carbon that are out there. I wouldn't necessarily take it myself for a marathon right now because I have, you know, a lot of carbon that would be in front of it. Really, primarily two shoes that are in front of it. But that's kind of it. Like, I could see this. So I was trying to narrow down between the Metaspeed Edge Tokyo, the Dynafish Denian one, and the Douyin PB Pro as sort of a three-way tie for which would be my racing shoe. And I obviously ended up deciding on going with the Edge Tokyo, although it could be a last-minute decision, who knows. But the Megablast might even be a better option for me than the Douyin PB Pro. That's how much it's risen to the top of my consideration as a shoe, generally speaking. I think it's faster than a lot of other racing shoes, just straight out of the box. Maybe it would be behind the Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro 3 Low as well. So who knows? Point is, really fast, I think really tuned to down to marathon pace. Probably wouldn't want to take it for a half, especially since I definitely have better options for the half. But could you run a half in the Megablast? Yeah, totally. Could you run a half in the Evo SL? Also, yeah, totally. I think that would be fine. I would probably avoid running a marathon in the Evo SL. Maybe this is another one of those non-plated marathon shoes that could work for some people. It's not that I wouldn't run a marathon in it. I think it would actually be asking for too much speed out of me. This feels optimal at like 7:30 or 7:20 pace, which is right on the fringe of where my marathon would be. And I think that, yeah, I just don't know if my pace broke down, if I would want to be in the Evo SL after that. But if the pace broke down in the Megablast, you know, I I could see it working. But for like a half, I could see myself also using the Evo. Again, I do have way better options for the half. So these are both surely trainers. I'm not saying that you could definitely use these for a race or that you should use these for a race if you have other options. But if you were looking for one shoe that could do it all, that is what both of these promise in their marketing material and the general ethos of the running shoe community right now. You could, these are the one shoe wonders, the one shoe rotation killers of the world. So which one do I think does a better job in that category? Megablast, hands down. I think it's way more of a rotation killer altogether. I think the Evo SL is really very one note. It just so happens to be that one note is where a lot of people run their runs. So I've spent a lot of time yapping about these shoes. I appreciate all of your attention. I'm sure I missed some things that I wanted to talk about these shoes, but the good news is I'll be running in both of them for some time to come, and I will be sure to share with you my thoughts when I have more. All right, stay in motion.